Even Christianity, even the mystery of Golgotha as enacted among men, was understood at first by the only means then available, namely the old Luciferic wisdom. The one-sidedness of the gnosis, for all its amazing profundity, stems from the influence that had spread from this Lucifer incarnation over the whole of the ancient world. Rudolf Steiner. In the unfolding scroll of time and thought, one finds the footsteps of various thinkers who have striven to illuminate the path of humanity towards spiritual understanding. Among such luminaries stands Rudolf Steiner, a beacon of esoteric knowledge, whose work transcended the mere intellect to touch the realm of the spirit. The foundation of his life's work, Anthroposophy, is a spiritual science that seeks to bridge the sensory and the supersensory worlds, drawing back the veil that separates the human from the divine. As we embark upon this journey of elucidation, let us hold in our hearts the purpose of this endeavor, to explore the depths of Steiner's insights into the being known as Lucifer and the tapestry of Luciferian knowledge. These concepts are not to be taken lightly, for they bear upon their wings the potential to elevate the spirit as well as to ensnare it in webs of illusion. Let the seeker be warned and prepared. The vistas of spiritual knowledge we are to traverse are profound and complex, resonating with the innermost quests of the soul. They are not bound by the dogma of traditional creed, but are alive with the breath of esoteric wisdom that Steiner bestowed upon the world. Welcome to Agrippa's Diary, the gathering place for mystical seekers. In contemplating the vast architecture of Steiner's cosmology, one enters a grandiose panorama of spiritual hierarchies. As the physical eye beholds the stars woven in the celestial firmament, so too the spiritual eye perceives a multitude of beings, ranging from the elemental to the archangelic, each with their respective roles and harmonies within the cosmos. At the heart of this spiritual cosmology is the evolution of human consciousness, an ascent from the depths of primordial unity to the heights of individual self-awareness. In this ascent, humankind encounters various spiritual forces, some lifting the soul towards the light of consciousness, others drawing it into the material embrace of the earth. Chief among these forces are the beings Steiner named Lucifer and Ahriman, each polarized in their influence upon the human spirit. Lucifer, the light-bearer, endows humanity with the gift of freedom and the flame of self-awareness, while Ahriman chains the soul to the stone of material existence, urging forgetfulness of its divine origins. The esoteric wisdom imparted by Steiner illuminates a pathway through which humanity may come to comprehend these spiritual forces. Just as the plants turn towards the sun and partake in the light to bring forth flowers and fruits, so does the human soul, through inner development, turn towards the spiritual sun to bring forth the blossoms of consciousness and the fruits of freedom. In Anthroposophy, these hierarchies are not mere abstractions, but living realities that engage in a continual dialogue with human beings. The deeds of these beings resound through the etheric and astral realms, echoing in the moral choices and innermost thoughts of each individual. Thus, when we speak of the forces and beings in Steiner's spiritual cosmology, we speak not only of entities external to us, but also of energies intimately interwoven with our own existence. Our awareness of them shapes not just our understanding of the cosmos, but also the very fabric of our spiritual journey. In the rich tapestry of Steiner's spiritual narrative, the figure of Lucifer emerges as a complex and multifaceted being, not to be confined to the simplistic embodiment of evil, as often portrayed in exoteric religious traditions, but rather to be understood as a luminous entity whose very name, derived from the Latin lux and ferre, means bearer of light. This light, however, is a metaphor for a certain kind of knowledge and consciousness, an illumination that comes from within rather than from without. Lucifer, in the cosmology elucidated by Steiner, represents a necessary counterbalance to the forces of darkness and materialism. Without Lucifer's influence, human consciousness would remain ensnared in the physical senses, bound to the earthly and the immediate. It is Lucifer who endows the human spirit with the impulse for freedom, the desire to rise above the merely natural order and to aspire to spiritual heights. Yet while the light of Lucifer grants the vision of spiritual realms and the thirst for independence, it also brings with it the shadows of potential pride and detachment from the divine harmony. For in the pursuit of freedom, there lies the peril of severing oneself from the world order, of mistaking the part for the whole. Luciferian influence can thus lead the soul astray into a realm of illusion and self-aggrandizement, where the light of spiritual truth becomes distorted by the mirage of personal desire. To embrace the Luciferian impulse is to accept the challenge of navigating the fine line between the pursuit of spiritual illumination and the allure of self-centered ambition. It is to recognize the duality inherent in the quest for knowledge, that every revelation carries with it the shadow of concealment, every ascent a risk of the fall. Rudolf Steiner's articulation of Lucifer is not one of condemnation, but of understanding the role this spiritual being plays in the grand cosmic order. Lucifer is seen not as a devil to be fought, but as an aspect of the inner self that must be understood, balanced, and integrated. The Luciferian impulse is an invitation to evolve, to expand one's consciousness beyond the immediate and the instinctual into the realms of creative thought and spiritual exploration. In the Anthroposophical view, the path of human spiritual evolution is one of synthesis, where the light of Lucifer must be harmonized with the contrasting spiritual forces that shape our destiny. Thus, to walk in the light of anthroposophy is to hold the torch of Lucifer with wisdom, discernment, and a deep moral responsibility to the whole of creation. To delve into the essence of Luciferian knowledge is to engage with a strand of wisdom that is at once ancient and eternally renewing. It is the gnosis that whispers of realms beyond the senses, speaking to the soul's potential to transcend the physical and to taste the fruits of spiritual liberation. This knowledge, according to Steiner's teachings, is not merely information to be grasped by the intellect, but is a living force that can transform the seer into a higher state of being. Luciferian knowledge is characterized by its potential to ignite the inner spark of creativity and to inspire the soul to reach for the lofty ideals of beauty, truth, and goodness. It is the fire Prometheus brought to humanity, the forbidden fruit that promises godlike understanding. It imparts the capacity to question, to doubt, and to conceptualize alternatives to the given sensory world, enabling the architectonic powers of the mind to build cathedrals of thought reaching towards the divine. Yet, as with all potent forces, Luciferian knowledge holds within it a double-edged sword. The light that reveals new vistas also casts shadows. The very freedom it offers can lead to a separation from the spiritual ground of being, an isolation in the solitary chambers of the ego. If unchecked, the pursuit of this knowledge can result in a spiritual hubris, an overestimation of one's illumination, and a disconnection from the nurturing soil of the earth. The seeker of Luciferian knowledge, therefore, must be ever vigilant, wielding discernment as a sacred tool. For every insight gained through the Luciferian light must be tempered with humility and a devotion to the service of the world. It is a path that demands the highest moral strength, for it requires the individual to balance the intoxication of spiritual heights with the sober responsibility of earthly existence. In Steiner's view, history itself is replete with examples of Luciferian influence. From the Promethean sparks in ancient myths to the Enlightenment's valorization of reason, these currents have propelled humanity forward, but have also precipitated profound ethical and existential challenges. Thus, Luciferian knowledge is not to be shunned, but embraced with conscious care, a golden thread woven into the fabric of one's spiritual striving. It calls upon the individual to become a conscious participant in the evolutionary symphony, to honor the gifts of light and sight, but to do so with a heart anchored in love and a will aligned with the divine order of the cosmos. In the grand cosmic narrative that Steiner presents, the figure of Lucifer cannot be contemplated in isolation. He is but one force in a dynamic interplay of spiritual energies that shape human destiny. To understand this fully, one must also consider Ahriman, Lucifer's counterforce, a being who anchors the soul to the material, engendering a consciousness steeped in physicality and intellect, devoid of spiritual longing. Lucifer and Ahriman, these two polarities, exist in a tension that is central to Steiner's esoteric philosophy. Lucifer, as we have seen, kindles in us the light of self-consciousness and freedom, but lures us towards spiritual egotism and fantasy. Ahriman, by contrast, tempts us with certainty, with the concrete and the empirical, but ensnares us in materialism and denies the existence of the spiritual. The Anthroposophical path advocates for a middle way, a conscious balancing act that integrates these opposing impulses. The human being is to become an alchemical vessel within which the Luciferian impulse for spiritual ascent and the Ahrimanic impulse for material manifestation can harmonize, bringing about a state of consciousness that Steiner refers to as Christ consciousness. This is a state of heightened awareness where one is neither lost in spiritual abstraction nor bound by material reductionism, but is present in a living, breathing reality that honors both spirit and matter. This balance is not a static equilibrium, but a dynamic, living process that requires continual attention and adjustment. The task of the spiritual seeker, therefore, is to cultivate an inner vigilance, an awareness that can discern the influences of both Lucifer and Ahriman in their thoughts, feelings, and actions. To embody this balance is to stand firmly in the physical world with a clear mind and a steady heart, while simultaneously remaining open to the whispers of the spirit. The practical implications of this balancing act are vast, for they touch every aspect of life. In education, it informs a pedagogy that nurtures the soul as well as the intellect. In agriculture, it inspires biodynamic methods that view the farm as a living organism. In medicine, it fosters a holistic approach that heals the body by considering the health of the spirit. Thus, the anthroposophist walks a path of conscious equilibrium, guided by the light of understanding that both the Luciferian and Ahrimanic forces are necessary for the full flowering of human potential. It is within this balance that one finds the true meaning of freedom, a freedom that is not mere license, but the ability to act in harmony with the higher laws of the cosmos. In the intricate weave of Steiner's spiritual science, the narrative of the fall of Adam and Eve assumes a profound and nuanced significance. Keep in mind that the alchemical and especially the hermetic opus, the work, may begin only a descent or a fall in a lower state. This allegorical event is not merely a descent into sin, as traditionally interpreted, but rather a pivotal moment in the evolution of human consciousness, a necessary detour through duality that imparts the gifts of freedom and individuality. Lucifer's role in this primordial event is emblematic of his wider cosmic function. As the serpent in the Garden of Eden, he tempts humanity with the fruit of knowledge, precipitating the first act of free will. This gesture, while leading to a departure from divine unity, simultaneously inaugurates the journey toward conscious self-realization. Through Lucifer's prompting, humans taste the bitter sweetness of autonomy and the responsibility that comes with it. The fall represents the human spirit's dive into the material realm, where the Luciferian light continues to shine, albeit now obscured by the veils of physical existence. It is through this seeming exile that the soul learns to wield its faculties, to cultivate thought, to experience emotion, and to act upon the world. The Luciferian influence thus serves as both the instigator of the fall and the liberator through knowledge, for it is by coming to know the world that one eventually comes to know oneself. Steiner elucidates that the path back to the garden, to the state of grace that humankind once knew, is not a path of regression, but of transformation. It is by ascending through the very knowledge that caused the fall that one achieves redemption. This redemptive process is not a renunciation of Luciferian wisdom, but its elevation, its refinement from personal intellect to universal insight. The fall, in Steiner's vision, is not a curse, but a stage in a grand evolutionary process, a divine drama wherein each soul is called to participate. It sets the stage for the journey of the prodigal son, where after long wandering in the realm of matter and shadow, the individual consciousness awakens to its origin and inheritance, ready to return to the fold of spiritual unity enriched by its sojourn in the world of duality. In this context, Lucifer is not the adversary, but a guide, albeit one whose teachings are fraught with challenges and tests. He represents the necessary resistance that strengthens the soul, the shadow that defines the light, and the question that sparks the quest for answers. Thus, the narrative of the fall becomes not just a tale of loss, but also a saga of potential, an odyssey that charts the soul's journey from innocence through experience to a higher innocence, a conscious return to the garden with the Luciferian light now transformed into wisdom. Christ is the spiritual being who enters human history to restore the equilibrium disrupted by the fall and to offer a new path of redemption and evolution. Steiner describes the Christ impulse as one of supreme sacrifice and love, a cosmic deed performed in the earthly realm. The mystery of Golgotha, where the Christ being united with the human entity of Jesus, is seen as a pivotal event in the spiritual history of the world. Through this act, Christ permeates the earth's aura with a redemptive force, one that counterbalances the Luciferian impulse towards separation and the Ahrimanic inclination towards material bondage. The Christ impulse does not deny the Luciferian light, but redeems it, elevating human consciousness to a level where freedom can be exercised in harmony with divine will. Christ stands as the exemplar of true moral freedom, the capacity to act out of love, independent of both Luciferian egotism and Ahrimanic determinism. In Steiner's Anthroposophical Christology, Jesus' life before the crucifixion, his teachings, miracles, and parables all serve to prepare humanity for this momentous event. They offer insights into the nature of the human condition, the realms of the spiritual world, and the possibility of attaining a consciousness that transcends the material plane. After the crucifixion, the resurrection signifies the ultimate victory over the forces of death and decay, an assurance that the human spirit, too, can overcome the constraints of the physical body. Christ's ascension then signals the continual presence of this redemptive force in the spiritual atmosphere of the earth, accessible to those who seek to align their souls with the higher principles of love and selflessness. In this framework, the moral development of the individual becomes a microcosmic reflection of the Christ event. Every act of genuine love, every effort to balance the Luciferian and Ahrimanic forces within oneself, is a step towards the Christ consciousness that redeems not only the individual, but also contributes to the redemption of the world. Anthroposophy thus calls upon its adherents to cultivate an inner Christ, a presence that guides and illuminates the path, integrating the Luciferian thirst for knowledge and the Ahrimanic respect for the material with the Christly love for all beings. It is a call to live in the world fully conscious, fully present, and yet striving towards a spiritual ideal that harmonizes the earthly with the divine. Steiner's insights into the forces of Lucifer and Ahriman remain remarkably relevant, providing a framework for understanding the spiritual dimensions of contemporary challenges. Steiner foresaw the rise of technology and its potential to lead humanity into an Ahrimanic snare, a loss of connection with the spiritual world. The digital revolution, with its capacity to quantify and digitize human experience, can be seen as an embodiment of Ahriman's influence, encouraging a purely materialistic worldview. Anthroposophy calls for a conscious engagement with technology, harnessing its potential while staying attuned to the human spirit and its connection to the cosmos. The ecological crisis can be partly attributed to a Luciferian disconnection from the rhythms and realities of the natural world. The pursuit of individual desire and the neglect of the collective well-being reflect a Luciferian impulse, unchecked by moral responsibility. Excessive individualism, Luciferian, without community orientation, leads to social fragmentation, while oppressive systems, Ahrimanic, deny individual freedom and creativity. Steiner's concept of threefold social order proposes a balance between cultural freedom, economic association, and rights equality, aiming for a society that reflects the integrated human being. Modern education often leans towards an Ahrimanic emphasis on standardized testing and material success. Anthroposophical education, inspired by Steiner's Waldorf school principles, strives to balance this with artistic, spiritual, and moral development, counteracting Luciferian fantasy with grounded creativity and critical thinking. The predominance of pharmaceuticals and a focus on symptoms rather than holistic health can be seen as an Ahrimanic tendency in medicine. Anthroposophical medicine incorporates spiritual understanding into healing, valuing Luciferian insight and intuition while maintaining a rigorous scientific approach to foster a balanced healing process. In the realm of economics, a Luciferian self-interest often undermines community cohesion, while an Ahrimanic drive towards efficiency can dehumanize work. Steiner advocated for associative economics, where transparency and collaborative decision-making processes allow for individual creativity within a cooperative framework, mirroring the interplay and balance between Luciferian and Ahrimanic forces. The anthroposophical perspective does not offer simple solutions, but rather a call to conscious engagement with the world's complexities. It suggests that modern issues require a balanced development of the soul faculties, thinking, feeling, and willing, informed by spiritual science. By understanding the interplay of Luciferian and Ahrimanic forces, individuals and communities can strive to navigate the modern world with wisdom, compassion, and moral clarity, aligning human evolution with the greater cosmic order. In concluding our exploration of Rudolf Steiner's views on Lucifer, Ahriman, and their relevance to contemporary issues, we are reminded of the dynamic and evolving nature of anthroposophy. Steiner's teachings provide a framework for understanding the complexities of the human experience, offering insights into the interplay of spiritual forces that influence our lives. The anthroposophical path is one of conscious spiritual inquiry, seeking to harmonize the Luciferian qualities of creativity and freedom with the Ahrimanic elements of form and structure. It is a path that recognizes the profound impact of the Christ impulse as a force of love and redemption, guiding humanity toward a future where spiritual wisdom informs practical action. By integrating Luciferian inspiration and Ahrimanic grounding with the consciousness of Christ, individuals and communities can strive to create a world that reflects the true potential of the human spirit. This journey of integration, though fraught with complexity, holds the promise of leading humanity to a new stage of consciousness, one that transcends the polarities of light and darkness and moves towards a future of unity, purpose, and harmony. Now, all of this considered, I am also interested to hear your opinion. How do you perceive the balance of Luciferian inspiration and Ahrimanic practicality in your own life? Share with us how you integrate these forces in your pursuit of personal and spiritual growth. If you want to delve deeper into the world of ancient wisdom and esotericism, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more insightful videos. And if you want to support my mission to unearth and decipher the forgotten teachings of the ancient mysteries and the encrypted knowledge of Western esotericism, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. Until next time, continue to seek out the light. Hen to Pan.